If we're going to talk about permanent employment versus contracting or being an independent contractor, I would consider three things. The first thing is the mindset, how the mind play us or talk to us when it comes to looking at both. Then we can also talk about what flexibility comes with one or the other, and what is the lively day-to-day implication in terms of the financials, the taxing systems that we live in, and so on. So if I start by the mindset being the engine that engineers the direction, if you look at employment in a company, it's always regarded as low risk. I'm going to get this running salary every month, and I am going to, it's stable, because in order to be let go, there has to be a few indications. And usually people, if they perform average, they will never get let go before 2 years, unless there's a major crisis in their company. When you look at independent contracting, it's considered high risk, because the minute you say contracting is usually associated with project work or temporary nature in the company operation that's wants somebody on temporary basis. So you're expected to be on a contract, let's say 3 to 9 months, and then find another one. So this finding another one creates the risk of, oh, what if I got into this and I didn't find the other one? So that's the risk factor. When you also look at the mindset of permanent employment, it's like a ladder. You're going into a job because you know that you're going up the ladder. So for example, in my world of IT, consultant, senior consultant, manager, senior manager, director, partner, that career path that you've set in front of you. But when you look at the contracting, the career is kind of flat. So you're looking at yourself as you're performing a service. So you're at service. So it doesn't matter whether you pick up on this contract a project manager role, but maybe the next one you're going back to a consultant. If you look at things in the permanent employment, for example, you have, as you mentioned earlier, corporate benefits. You have extended healthcare, dental coverage, long-term disability, short-term disability, contribution to retirement plans. For us here in Canada, RRSP, in the US, 401k. Now, in a contracting world, you don't get this benefit. You only get your hourly pay. So to make up for this, you might need to purchase the insurance, for example, to purchase liability insurance on your company just in case something goes wrong. So you purchase most of these stuff. When we look at permanent employment as well, you are okay with the employee mentality. So you're contributing to somebody else as part of this company. But in the contracting world, most of the time, if your income is high enough, you need to incorporate, which means you need to have a corporation. The other company is paying to your corporation, and it's up to you to figure out how you're going to pay yourself. So once you launch this corporation, you can entertain to other business opportunities and ideas as well. So flexibility. When you look at permanent employment, days off, you have 25 days. 10 days are usually the statutory holidays on average. And then the company would give you in your offer a number of days off, on average, let's say 15. So these together are 25 days off per year, and they are paid when you are a permanent employee. An independent contractor, you're going to still take, whether you like it or not, the 10 days, which are statutory holidays. Flexibility here is when I coach individuals into being contractors, we usually calculate the contracting year at 44 weeks, although the year has 52, because we said those 25 days that are in permanent employment translate to 5 calendar weeks. And then you take 3 more weeks on top of that for additional flexibility, because almost everyone complains from 15 days only on the job. So you take another 3 weeks and you set 8 weeks, and you calculate your contracting income based on 44 weeks only. That 3 weeks extra gives you the flexibility that was confining you in the employment. Plus, it's very rare that you could line up a contract to start on the last day of an existing contract. The other aspect of the flexibility is how long you spend at work. So in the permanent employment, you're told it's a 9 to 5 job. But when there is, intensity at the job site, and then you are required to spend overtime, you find yourself spending the overtime with a certain promise, like, maybe at the end of the day, if you work hard, you get a promotion. Now, when you're working as a contractor, that expectation kind of like a little bit different. Okay. They know that you're working by the hour. So when somebody asks you for more than a 9 to 5, if you are firm, can ask, am I going to bill for the extra hour? People will either say, yes, you can bill for extra hours, or no, 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 that's fine. We'll get somebody else to do it. And that somebody else is usually the permanent employee. Always negotiate the terms on a contract. You can hardly get stuck, because let's say you want a hybrid job or a remote work, and then you are kind of like, this was what was offered to you. So you inherently understand that, okay, I will take this for the next 6 months or 9 months, but on my next contract, I would look to negotiate better terms. Now, in the permanent employment, you're usually stuck with the terms that you negotiated for 5 years.
So, what are some of the life implications that people should consider when they're thinking about contract versus permanent?
The first thing that jumps to my mind is travel, extended travel, especially, let's say, here in Canada, being, focused more on immigration. Most people who immigrated would love to go back home to spend some time with their family. So if you are, let's say, in Canada or the US, and this back home for you is India or China, people want to spend more time. The traveling is exhaustive, so people want to spend a month there, but then they know that they either have to cut it to 3 weeks, 15 business days, vacation is gone. Even if they want to do something local after, they can't, because they have to wait for something like long weekends, because they have consumed their time off.
What beyond travel can people consider as a life implication if they choose to go contract versus permanent?
Flexibility again, because on running errands and doing things, because inherently you can also negotiate the number of hours versus a 9 to 5. So for example, if I work somewhere and I know that we are charging by the hour, I might talk to the hiring manager to, let's say, work today 9 to 12, and then go run an errand from 12 to 2, and then come back, put these 2 hours and work, let's say, from 2 to 7. So that is a relief to a lot of people, versus you getting stuck and getting helpless.
You and I had a really great conversation about financials and tax implications that people should consider when they are considering moving more to a contract position.
In North America, we know that our tax brackets are high, and we always usually complain about how much taxes. So let's make a comparison between that. So let's take a permanent employee that is making 100K,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say an average tax, and let's say provincial versus federal, or state versus federal. We say 30%, for example, is an average tax. So you net in your pocket 70K. Okay. And that 70K is your disposable income, as they say, and everything that you spend, whether it's rent, whether it's mortgage, whether it's a car that you buy, anything you spend is from that net 70. So if you are in a contractor, remember the calendar that said 44 weeks of
Mm-hmm.
work only. You want to make sure that the 44 weeks generate anything between 125 to 150. And why is that? Because the corporate pays you benefits, and benefits equal money. So when you go as a contractor, you will be purchasing these benefits, right, for your safety. So that 25,000 on top of 100,000 usually covers up for the monetary value of your corporate benefit. And again, I'm talking averages, so no one holds to that particular figure, just for the sake of an example. So we said 100,000 in employment, 30% tax, 70K net in your pocket. In contracting, we're going to say 125K. Now, 125K, what we do with that, if you have a registered corporate, that 125 doesn't per se go to Mahmoud, okay? It goes to my company, be to have. And then I figure out how I draw money from my company. Do I want to make myself a payroll, or do I want to take bonuses or dividends? Your accountant can tell you more about that. But let's say I take personally half of this money and put half of it in the corporate bank account. Okay. Now, my income is not 100,000. My personal income becomes 60,000. So I'm in a lower tax bracket. The other 65 gets charged on a corporate tax structure, which is lesser, usually around the 15%. Okay. So if you simply take an average, we will say that the average tax on the 125 is 20%. If that is the case, then you're netting in your pocket 100K. So from 70, you're doing 100K. So that 100K, when you have a company, there's a lot of things that you use on day to day for that business. Your car, going to the client site and coming back there, so you're consuming your car. You have an office, a space in your house. So in certain tax implications, you could write off part of that car expense. You could write off part of your mortgage or your rent in proportion to the home office that you're having. You take somebody and go out and you speak business. You're allowed to expense that meal to a business account because you spoke business. And again, accountants can speak more to that, but I'm just giving an example. So 70, and then you take out everything from the 70, or would you get 100 net? So in my opinion, it makes more sense to be on the contracting side financially and tax implication wide. And I especially recommend it for the household where the spouses are both of them working. Hey, why don't one of you work as a permanent employee and gets the corporate benefits while the other works as a contractor and you get the benefits and tax implications and financials?